The world's most iconic telescope, the Hubble Space Telescope, is celebrating 25 years in orbit. Here to show us some of Hubble's most amazing images and talk about some of the science it's delivered is Dr. Jane Rigby from NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. Thanks for joining us.
Of course, happy to be here.
So, Hubble Space Telescope is 25. Can you show us some of Hubble's most amazing images?
Absolutely. Hubble has taken so many gorgeous images over its 25-year lifetime. We have seen, these are images that are scientifically powerful and also gorgeous. We've seen our own solar system. We've seen places where stars like our own sun are forming. We've seen places where stars like our sun are dying. We can see galaxies like our own Milky Way nearby, and when we look into deep space, we can see thousands of galaxies, young and old.
What are some of the surprising things you've learned?
Well, Hubble has given us so many surprises, right? This is a telescope that rewrote the science textbooks. A few of my favorites, I would have to say that when Hubble looks at deep space, right, at parts of the night sky that look black and empty and stares for weeks, when you add all those images together, you get a picture of deep space. And what you see are thousands of galaxies, galaxies everywhere you look. Hubble has taught us that the universe is full of galaxies and that we can study galaxies that are young, that have just formed, as well as galaxies that are old and are done forming stars. And we can connect those dots to understand how galaxies like our own Milky Way formed and evolved.
What excites you most about Hubble?
I'm going to have to, so for me, Hubble's a very personal thing, right? Hubble's used by thousands of scientists all over the world. I'm one of them. I have led 5 programs with Hubble. And it's incredibly competitive, right? 90% of all the proposals are rejected. But when you're lucky enough to win, then you get to use the telescope. And so some of the favorite days in my life have been coming to work early in the morning, and Hubble took data for me overnight, and you're like, all right, is it down yet? Is it down yet? You're waiting for the data to come down to Earth, and then you get to open up and see a part of the universe that no one has seen before, and you get to be the first to do that. Hubble does that every day. And for us astronomers, it's like your birthday when you get to be the one to get new data from the Hubble Space Telescope.
The story of Hubble is also a human story. Astronauts serviced this telescope 5 times. Can you talk about some of the obstacles that Hubble has overcome?
So the Hubble story is one of a lot of drama and ultimately of triumph. Hubble was launched in 1990 with a defective primary mirror. It was ground very precisely to the wrong shape. We realized that error, and in 1993, astronauts went up with the space shuttle and put corrective lenses into Hubble that fixed the problem with the mirror. Ever since then, Hubble has delivered beautiful, gorgeous images. Astronauts have been back to service Hubble 4 more times and installed new cameras every couple years. So if you think about and thanks to that, right, these astronauts were risking their lives to fix Hubble, but every time they did, they made Hubble much better. So they fixed problems like gyroscopes and computers that were failing, but they also put in new digital cameras every couple years. So even though Hubble is 25 years old, we have cutting-edge, amazing instruments on board.
Talk about how Hubble has touched people.
Hubble not only takes great scientific data that has rewritten the science textbooks, but it also touches people on a real and profound level. When you look at Hubble images, they're beautiful. They touch you deeply. And I think that's one of the most amazing things about Hubble. And so everyone knows about Hubble. You see it is the most famous telescope since Galileo first used a telescope to look up. And so it's used by, Hubble images and Hubble content are used by students in all 50 states in their schools. And Hubble is probably the most famous telescope in our lifetimes, and probably since Galileo first used one.
Not that one, the next one.
In 2018, NASA will launch the James Webb Space Telescope. Tell us a bit about this mission.
So Hubble is fantastic. We are designing and building a new telescope to do what Hubble can't do. So the James Webb Space Telescope, which is being built right now here at the Goddard Space Flight Center, is much bigger than Hubble. It has a 7 times larger mirror. It is designed, we have built it to do exactly what Hubble can't do. The Webb telescope will be operated very cold so that it can see kinds of light that Hubble can't see. And our goal with the Webb telescope is to see the first generation of stars and galaxies that formed after the Big Bang. Hubble just can't quite do that. It's not a big enough mirror, and it's not a cold enough telescope, but the Webb telescope will be able to.
Where can we see more of Hubble's beautiful images?
So if you want to put more Hubble beauty into your day, you want to go to nasa.gov/Hubble.
Dr. Jane Rigby, thanks so much for joining us.
A pleasure.